Okay, so I'm Jackie Patanio. I work, I work for the Staten Island Borough office. I'm an instructional lead on the teaching and learning team. I have some of my teammates on the call manning the back channel. I have Jackie Guerreri and Amory Rock will probably be joining us soon. They're part of our academic policy and advance teams. So it's a real nice collaborative effort over here in Staten Island. What we're going to be looking at today is looking at Google Calendar and the Keep integration and some facets of Google Docs and how Keep integrates into that. So what I ask is for you all to just hold your questions, and if you have them, just pop them into the chat. Like I said, Jackie and Amory will sort of compile them, and we'll get to them at the end of the call. Here is the link to the agenda, bit.ly/SIBO Keep Calendar. That's going to be the agenda link, and then the sign in for DIIT is diit.nyc/sign. Okay, and then again, just some of the icons that you will see when you move your mouse to the bottom of the screen. Okay, I will try to pull this back up periodically, and Jackie will also be dropping the sign in and the other links into the chat periodically as we move along. Okay, so welcome everyone. Really hope that you're all doing well and surviving at home and hopefully staying safe and healthy. I'm going to move right into it. So I'm going to pull up my wrong screen. I'm going to pull up for you my classroom because that's where we are going to start. So, hold on, having some technical difficulties. Okay, so we're over here in Google Classroom, and again, we're going to be looking at how sort of Classroom, Keep, and Calendar all speak to each other. Because the beauty of Google Apps and your domain is that everything is very seamless and is able to sort of cross over and be able to work within the different facets of the apps. So in looking at Google Classroom, I'm going to head on over into one of my online learning classes. So this is Online Learning 2019-2020. I know that we don't necessarily use the calendar feature in here, but now that we've moved over to remote learning, this might be something that you start to use more. So when you're in Classroom, apologies, you go over to your classwork, and what you would traditionally do is you create your assignments, correct? And one of the things that we do when we create our assignments is we add due dates to them, especially now for accountability. So I have a check-in that's due tonight at 9 p.m. and tomorrow, actually Monday, I have something due for my students at 3 p.m. So these dates and times that we have set here for our students are actually going on to a calendar within our classrooms. So to access that calendar, what we do is, I know I'm in my online learning class. I come over here to my pancake stack over on the left, and I click on calendar. And I'm now in the calendar that's associated with that online class. And I'll see that these are the assignments that I have for my students, okay? And if I go to my next week, this is what you'll see, the Create Your Own Thing link, and I click on it, and this will bring me to for me, this is the teacher view. I could see when my students start working on this, whereas the students will see the actual assignment and what they have to do. So they will see the student view assignment. Me as a teacher, I see this back end on what they're working on and who's actually done the assignments. So that's where the calendar integration for the assignments come in. So they live right here. I'm going to head back over to my online learning class. So I actually just want to create an assignment and just show you really how it pops in really easily and quickly. So I click classwork, I click create, and I'm going to stick with the basic assignment, and we'll give it a title of Friday activities. Okay. Please be sure to submit your feedback video. So one of the things I was discussing with the principal today was talking about doing reflection videos at the end of the week with students. So they can kind of wrap up what they've learned, some of their experiences, maybe how they felt, really taking into account some of the social emotional pieces of, how it is they are doing at home, whether it's with their schoolwork or just with their family in general. So I might ask them, please be sure to submit your video feedback for today. Click the add icon to insert your video. Okay. And one of the things, to be aware of is that we always have to make sure we're in the correct class. Obviously, I'm in my online learning. Is it for all of my students? Yes, it is. I want all of them to respond to this. Point value. Okay, move this over. And then we have our due date. So this is where you're going to put your date in and the time, and this is where it's going to populate onto that calendar that we were just looking at. So I come on over here, and today is Friday, and I want it to be done probably by, let's say, 5 o'clock. Okay, 5 o'clock p.m. Right, and I just click out of it. I do want to make sure it goes into a topic, so I'm going to put it under
AJ, bring down the volume, please.
May I ask whoever's on the line if you could please mute your mic? Just scroll to the bottom of your screen. Thank you. All right. So I have everything set up with my due date, my topic, and now I'm going to click assign. So now while this happens, what I can do is I can come back over here, and I'm just going to look at that calendar just to make sure. And here it is, right here, my assignment for Friday activities that I just put in. So it happens right away. Right? So that's how your calendar works within Classroom. Now we're going to look at how Calendar works with the Google Calendar app. So back in here, in my classwork, I'm sure many of you have noticed this, but you have, and you probably used it, you have the calendar icon right here, and you have your Classroom Drive folder. These tell you that these are direct connections into those particular apps. So what we'll do right now is we're going to click on Google Calendar. And over here, we will see that we are in our basic Google Calendar. This is where you would access either by, like we just did, clicking on the icon over there. Otherwise, we would go to our app launcher. You'll see your calendar app is in here, or we would type in calendar.google.com. Many ways to get to the same point within your domain. So over here on the left, okay, now, please don't judge. I am a hoarder of calendars. I'm a hoarder of many things. So I have a lot of calendars in here. This one is my personal one that was created for me when my account was opened on this domain. And then below, these are mostly calendars that are associated with Google Classrooms that I've created or that I'm part of. So it's important to remember that when you create a Google Classroom, there is a calendar that is automatically created for you over here. Okay, so the one that is checked off is the one that we're actually viewing on here right now. This is the Online Learning 2019-2021 that I was in just a few moments ago. And I know that I'm looking at it because it is checked off. Okay, all right. So I want to keep it that way just for purposes of seeing what's happening on this particular calendar. So over here, these are assignments that I created in Google Classroom. Right? This is the one that I just created with you now. And then these are other ones that I had created and assigned earlier on. Okay? So it happens simultaneously. As soon as I put it onto Classroom, give it that due date and give it the time, it populates right on here. So it's really important to think about how this could be used for hour management, for student management, to help families kind of stay on track, because we're all sort of in this boat where we're trying to figure out when things are due. I'm a parent. I have a 6-year-old kindergartner who I'm trying to stay on top of and manage his work as well. So I understand being, working and being mommy and teacher at the same time. So just to bring your attention over here to the assignment that we talked about earlier, this is the reflection one. So assignment, Friday activities, okay? I tap on it and it gives me the information that I put into Classroom. So please be sure to submit your feedback video today. Click the add icon to insert your video. This link right here will bring me directly to that Classroom link. Hold on one second. And we're back. So I clicked on that link and it brought me to the direct activity that I created, which is be sure to submit your feedback video today. Click the add icon and insert your video. So it's really an easy way to be able to track yourself and kind of encourage families to track the work their students are doing or when the students are on, depending on their age level. Just being able to be like, okay, I know I have this assignment where I have to check in. I can just click right here and it'll bring me directly to that assignment. So again, just different ways to navigate and be able to get to certain points when you're using Classroom and when you're using it with Calendar. Okay. One important thing to note, when you created the assignments on Google Classroom, the assignment went on to this calendar right here, right? The assignment went on here, and it also popped onto here on my calendar app. It will not work vice versa. So I cannot create something on here and have it pop into the Classroom calendar. So that's important to remember. If I create something on here, it will not automatically go into my Classroom calendar. It's only a system where when you create it in Classroom, it will populate onto here, not the other way. Okay. And again, this is our assignment that is due. That's due for Monday. So everything shows up on here. All right. So I'm actually going to stay in the calendar app now because I want to look at a more detailed view of how we share our calendar, how we fix some of the aesthetics of our calendar, and how we could integrate your Docs and Meet into this. So I'm going to actually toggle this off. So I'm going to shut off my online learning calendar. So all I did was simply check that box. And I'm going to head on up here and check on my Jackie box. Okay, so this is my calendar. One of the things that I have set up for my calendar is that when I'm in here, I have it set up as month view as my default. It's just a personal preference. You might like to look at it as week view or day view. That's totally up to you. But that's actually up here. So when you come on up to the top right, it might be set as month. You can change it. I can change it to week view. I could change it to schedule view. Schedule view sometimes helps, if you wanted to print it out. But I prefer month view, but that's how you would change it. I also have my calendar set so that I see Saturday and Sunday as well, but you can go into the calendar settings and have it be so that it's only Monday to Friday. Right. So I'm going to come on over here, see where my cursor is, right over here to my Jackie calendar. I have 3 dots right here, which tells me that there are other options for my calendar on here. If I tap on it, I can change the color of the calendar. Again, like I said, many of these things are about aesthetics and kind of where your eyes go. If you are working on calendars with a particular content area, you might say, oh, your math calendar would be blue. Maybe if it was a grade calendar, first grade is red, second grade is purple, third grade is, depending on, whatever it is that your needs were. So I'm going to change mine to purple for now. And again, it just changes it right here, and it will change what the icons are on my calendar. So the idea is that I know that I am on this particular Jackie Batanio calendar and not a different calendar. Some of the other things that we can do in here is we can go into our settings and sharing. So if I go into my settings and sharing, again, it brings up the name of the particular calendar that I am on, and then the description of it. So this is my personal calendar. If it was something that I was collaborating on with the grade level, I would put that in here. Or maybe if it was a particular content, or if it was for field trips, which I know we're not going on field trips right now, but you would put those details in here. Okay. I could scroll down right over here on my right, or I can click over here on these subtitles, and they will bring me to the next area of my permissions. So I'm in the New York City Department of Ed domain. This is how my settings are set, so anybody in here can see my events and details. This helps because anybody within my domain can see if I'm free or busy. So if we're doing scheduling, they'll be able to see what's on my calendar. It's really important for us when we have meetings, and then show calendar info in other apps. So I leave this on because I like to have my calendar accessible to my other apps. Okay. Then we move down to where it says share with specific people. Now this comes in handy when you are working on collaborative calendars together. So this one is my personal calendar, so I probably won't have people collaborating on with me. But if I did want to add people, I would just click add. and it's very easy. I would start typing in somebody's name from my domain, and you'll see that their name pops up. I have a list of permissions that I can give Stephen. So it defaults to see all events details. If I tap on this, you'll see it has a hierarchy. It starts with the most restrictive down to the least restrictive. So I could have it set where Stephen can only see when I'm free and busy. I could have him see this calendar with the event details. I could allow him to make changes to the event. So that would be a real collaboration where him and I were working on this together, and we could be making changes and creating events together. And then the least restrictive would be he would also be able to invite people to this calendar. So just like I'm doing right now, he would also be able to do the same. But I don't want him to do that. And then I click send. This will go into his email, and it will notify him that Jackie has shared a calendar with you. You now have the permissions to make changes to this event. Okay. If I don't want Stephen on here anymore and we had a falling out, I could just simply hover over the X next to his name, and I could unshare this calendar with him, which is what I'll do right now. Okay. Pretty simple and straightforward. So now what we'll do is we're going to head on out from our settings, because I just wanted to go over some of the basic settings. And we're going to head on over to our calendar, and we're going to look at how to create a detailed event. So there's many different ways to create events. You can come over here, click create. You could also tap into a date and just start typing in. This is like a snapshot view. What I like to do is I like to double tap inside of a date so that it gives me the full event view. So if I double tap in here, it gives me sort of that more detailed event look. Again, it's all based on preference. You can do it where you just tap on it once and you have that small view and click on more options, or you can do double tap and have the full event view pop up for you here. So we're going to walk through real quick how we can create an event and sort of add specific details to it with other apps integrated in. So I'm going to call this team meeting, SIBO. I have the date, so in case I accidentally tapped on the wrong date, I can make those modifications right here just by clicking on this. It's defaulted to all day, definitely not an all day meeting. So once I uncheck it, you'll notice that you have the times pop up. I can make this 9:30 to 10:30. Oops, 9:30 to 10:30. 1 hour. I could also customize this if I wanted. Let's say if I wanted it to be 9:36, I can just type in 9:36 and it would make it appear to 9:36 to 10:36. You could change that, but I want to keep it on the half hour. So I come on down, and normally we could add in a location, right? We could start typing in an address, and if your location services are on, it will pull up the address. But since we're not in a physical space, we don't necessarily need this right now. Okay, so I'll just take this out, but just good to know whenever we go back to our buildings. Then we have add conferencing. So this is where you have the ability to incorporate your Hangouts Meet. We're not going to use Zoom. You'll see it says up to 250 participants, which is the number is now up so that we are able to have in as many people as we need, well, up to 250 in these Hangout Meets. So when you click on this, it automatically populates a set meeting link for you, so that this will be where your participants are going to go when it's time for your meeting on April 8th. Okay? We move down below and we have our notifications. So what this does, it automatically defaults to notification 10 minutes. I could change this if I need to. If I needed it to be, let's say, 5 minutes, right? The idea is that this particular piece, if I'm logged in, so I know I'm logged into my account because I see my face over here, I will get a notification no matter where I am in my browser, in my tabs, 5 minutes before this meeting if I have this set. So there will be a little box that pops up over here that notifies me and says, you have a meeting that starts in 5 minutes. And what I can do is I can click on it and it'll bring me into that meeting. It's really useful, again, for time management, especially if you're not looking at your calendar. The notifications help give you a heads up as to when your meetings are. I could also change this from minutes to hours, days, or weeks. Not really sure why you would want a notification weeks before, but hey, it's there for you if you want to do it. You could also add notifications. So if you need more than one, you can change this to an email. So I can also have an email sent to me 5 minutes before, 20 minutes before, days before, but you have the option to do different types of kind of alerts for you in order to bring you to this meeting. And then again, I could simply remove the notifications right here. So as I move down, I know that this has happened to me in the past. I'm sure many of you, this might have happened to you as well. If you have a lot of calendars, like you saw that I did, sometimes you might create an event and not realize which calendar you put it on. And then you go to save the event and you're like, oh my God, it's not there. Maybe you created it on a calendar that it wasn't the right calendar. So it's important that when you're doing this in the event details, right here is the calendar icon. You could see what calendar this event is going on to. So this is my Jackie Patanio calendar. This is the one that I want it to be on. So if I tap on it, and if by any chance it's not on the right one, I can just move and place it onto the appropriate calendar. Okay. And again, we talked about earlier, the color of my calendar is purple, so that is the color that the events will pop up. Okay. So then we move down, and I will obviously be coming up as busy. So if anyone's trying to schedule a meeting with me, they won't be able to because I will be showing as busy. And then we come down here to our description. So I might ask my team to collaborate with me on the agenda. Please add agenda items for our meeting next week. So this is a really good way to get people collaborating on a document and on different items. So I could ask them to collaborate right here, and I could attach the document directly from my drive. So it'll pull up with recents, or I can just search in my drive, but I'm going to stick to adding this onto it, which is the agenda for today. So I have this, and when I send this whole event out to everyone, they're going to have this nice event card that has the time of the event. It's going to have the link to the meet, and it's also going to have the agenda here, so that it's all in one nice spot. So I'm going to come on over here. I'm going to start adding people to my event. So I'm going to invite Jackie Guerrieri. I'm going to I'll invite somebody from the outside. So we will invite the other Jackie. Oh, lots of Jackies. Brandon Shaw. Okay. So these are the folks that I want to add to my event. You'll notice that Jackie Guerrieri and Brandon are both in my domain. This Jackie right here, this is schools.nyc.gov. The asterisk says that the calendar cannot be shown because this person is not in the domain. That's just to bring your attention to that. If you want to delete people from your invite list, again, very easy. You just hover over and you just hit the X icon right here. Okay, to remove. Very similar to removing notifications and removing people off of your calendar as well. Down here, you have guest permissions. So this speaks to what your guests can do. So I have it set so that my guests can invite others because sometimes we forget to include people on our meetings, and they can also see the guest list. You can uncheck those if you want or leave them on. It's all about your preference. And then modifying the event. So again, if I am co-presenting on this event, I might want Jackie to be able to modify the event as well if we're co-presenters. Okay. So once I'm done and I'm good to go, I'm going to click save. This is going to be the send feature. So would you like to send this email to your guests? I'm going to click yes. And then since I invited somebody who is not within my domain, I'm going to get that notification. Very similar to when you're sharing something in Drive to somebody outside of your domain, you will get notified. So I'm going to invite the other Jackie anyway. All right. So here it is. Here's my team meeting. And I kept talking to you about the event. Hold on one second. So you'll see I spoke about the event card before. So if I tap right here on the team meeting, I get this nice sort of layout of what the event will be. So it tells me when it is. Here's the link. So I'll click on this in a moment. This will bring me right to the Hangout. I have all of the guests. So I have 1 yes and 3 waiting. The person who is a yes is always the organizer. So they come up with that green circle. And then as my participants start saying yes or no, that will also pop up over here, and I will have a nice list of who said yes and who said no and who am I waiting. Okay. And as I work my way down, here's that document. So if I click on this, it will open up right here. So again, all in one nice, neat spot for me to be able to access the information for our meeting. Again, think about sort of how this can help you and how this could possibly help students, how this could possibly help families in keeping themselves structured and organized throughout this remote learning. Okay. Up here, again, where the Hangouts Meet is, I can click on this where this is the copy join information. So I can copy this. It says successfully copied to my clipboard. I could also paste that into an email if I needed to, pull somebody in externally, or if they didn't have access to their calendar for whatever reason. You're able to copy this information and share it out, even if it was through Remind. So I know some schools are using Remind or those type of platforms to meet with families. You can also set up a calendar invite this way and then copy the information and be able to share it with them here. So the day the meeting comes, I click here and you'll see that very simply I'm going to be brought to my Google Meet area in order to have my meeting with my staff, with my families, or whoever it is. Okay, so we have that nice, like I said, integration of using Hangouts Meet with Calendar and also with Docs. So I can make modifications to this as well if I needed to edit my event. So up here, we have some of our tools. We can edit the event, delete the event. I can email my guests from here. And then again, I have some other options if I needed to copy this, print this, or duplicate it at any point. Okay. All right. So one of the other things to note about Calendar and what you're seeing, this event that I created, I'm attending. And I mentioned to you that when I clicked on here, I saw that I'm attending. My little, the green circle is here. Okay. Also, it's important to note that there is a filled in purple circle right here. That means that I'm going to this event. I created it. I'm going to it. Right next to it, I have another meeting. It says meet with Jordy, right? You'll see that there is a circle, but it is not filled in. Okay. What this was sent to me. So anytime you create an event, you share it out with the folks on the calendar, it will automatically show up on your invitees' calendar as well. So this popped up on my calendar. So now I know that this is a circle that is not filled in. This is an event that somebody else invited me to and put on my calendar. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on it. And now I'm going to say, am I going yes, no, or maybe? So if I click maybe, you'll see that it is not a filled in circle now. It is a circle with lines going through it. So just some visual representation of when you say yes to a meeting, it becomes a filled in circle. When you say maybe to a meeting, it becomes these lines. And if you were to say no, it would be this. It would be a strike through. Okay. So again, when you're sending this out, for example, Brandon and Jackie will now get a notification on their calendar just like this, but the circle will be empty until they click yes, no, or maybe. It also pops up in their Gmail as well for them to RSVP. But again, there's many different ways to get to the response area. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to move from here into Google Keep. So Google Keep is probably one of my favorite apps that isn't as frequently used, I would say, by most people, but it's definitely one of the ones that I rely on most. So one of the ways that we can get there is by clicking on our app launcher. And the Keep app looks similar to Slides it's the same color, but it is actually a light bulb. So if you just click on that, I actually already have it open. Okay. What you'll see is that it's like a giant board of Post-its. That's why I like it so much. So I love to take notes and I love to kind of try to keep myself organized this way. It's very simple. When you first get here, you will probably not see as much as I have on mine because, like I said, I use this all the time. Yours might be blank and there probably won't be any labels on the side if you've never used this before. So it'll be a blank canvas. So essentially what we're doing here is we're just taking notes to keep ourselves on track. This is one of the things that students, families can use to kind of create tasks and lists to either approach the workflow for the day. It could be for collaboration with another teacher. It could be collaboration with other students. Many, many different options of things that you can do here. So what I'm going to do is right here, this is where we start, where it says take a note, okay? Simply, we start off with the title. So today's workflow. One second. Okay. So we're going to do today's workflow. Just an FYI, every time I have to mute, I have to tell my 6-year-old to please keep it down. So I apologize for that. Okay, so today's workflow, that's our title. Now we're going to start taking notes. So for me, it's going to be track my attendance for PD. I'm also going to monitor Jordan's classwork. I'm also going to upload my photo. Upload my photo for a project. Okay, so just some of the things that I need to attend to today. So this is how we edit and start creating our keeps. Down here, this is how we're going to modify and enhance what it is that we're doing. So right here, you have the remind me. This is very much similar to the calendar reminds, where you're able to put a timestamp on it as to when it's due or when you need to have this stuff attended to. I don't use this as frequently because I don't find that I need it, but this is where you can go to sort of make your reminders happen. So by today at 8 o'clock, or if I wanted to customize it, I could change my reminder to, let's say, April 6th by 8 p.m. Do I want it to repeat? Which would be, do I want it to keep bothering me every single time? I don't do it. So I'll click save. Okay. I'm going to move on over to this one. I'm going to skip this for now. Color coding. So again, very similar to what we did with calendar. You can color code your Post-its. So again, it could be based on content. It could be based on day of the week. It could be based on topic. Whatever it is, it could just be you want to vary colors, but you can change the colors right here as you see fit. One of the ways that I use this is that when I go into classrooms and I do visits, I like to keep track of what I'm seeing. So you're able to add images to this. So if I click on this, it's actually very easy on the phone too, and on other tablets. You're able to just sort of snap photos and attach them right to Keep. So if you have the Keep app on your phone, you're able to just click on. It'll look different, obviously, but you're able to click right here and snap a photo, and images will pop right onto the Keep. And I will show you one of my Keeps that has images on it. I'm just not going to pull one into this one. I'm going to move over to here, which is the More option. So for those of us who like checkboxes, I'm a checkbox fan. You can come down here where it says Show Checkboxes. Anytime I hit Enter is where I can, a new sort of checkbox will pop up, a new list item for me. So add info to calendar too. Okay. I find checkboxes very satisfying. So if I make a mistake, I could always delete an item on my list. And then as I attend to things on my list, what I can do is I can check it off and it comes right down here to completed items. So you can close it like this, or you can have it open so you see the items that are crossed off your list. Again, it's all about satisfaction and seeing what you've accomplished for the day. Again, a visual representation for people to be able to say, you know, I've accomplished this task, and what else do I have to attend to? I'm going to head back over here to More again. I could hide my checkboxes. I could uncheck all my items. I can also add a drawing. So if I click Add Drawing, I'm on a laptop right now, so it's not going to be as easy to actually draw. But think about how students can do drawing on their phones or on their tablets and be able to attach it right to the Keep. Okay, it's very helpful for math. It could be helpful for writing, but again, developmentally, this will wind up working best on a tablet because you can't really do it so well using a mouse or a trackpad. But just knowing that it's there, and then what happens is it adds to your note right here very easily. The last part that we're going to look at in more, probably one of the more important pieces, it's adding a label. So we really want to keep ourselves sort of organized when we're creating these keeps, because it could become overwhelming. If I click add label, what that's doing is that's assigning a specific tag to this post-it. So you see that I have a whole bunch here because these are the ones that I use most. I might click on Google Training, and I could also create a new label if I wanted to. So I could put in, let's say, keep training. Okay, and I will click create. So now what I have is right down here, I have keep training and Google Training. So this post-it, this keep, is now tagged to these labels. And you'll see when I come over here that this is where the labels live. I can go into them separately. Okay. The last piece that we want to look at is pinning your notes. So your pinned notes will live on the top. So if I click pin, you'll see that it's going to save right here in my top left as soon as I close it, right here. So these are all my pinned items. They're the items that I find to be the most important for right now, and it brings my eye right to it. If I don't pin an item, I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom, they just wind up not at the top. And you have to scroll all the way down to get them. So you'll see right here, it has listed as others. So pinned items are on top, other items are at the bottom. And again, they go in order of when you put them in. So they go in date order from when you created them. One of the other pieces to this, you'll notice that on here, you'll see somebody else's head. You're able to add collaborators to your post-its. So oh, and actually, let me just show you one of these. So this is what it looks like when you're adding photos. Again, what I was talking about when you're adding photos to one of your keeps. But back to the idea of adding a collaborator, there was that bobblehead. It looks very similar to what you would see in Drive as well. You could add collaborators to your post-it. So if I wanted to add Jackie Guerrieri to my keep, I would add her name and I would click save. This might be so that we're working on the same project together and we both want to sort of add this list and work on the workflow together, check things off. It's another good way to maybe do the design process in STEM. It could be a good way for families to work with their kids on specific things. So over here, this is where we have our reminders, and then these are the labels that I was mentioning before. So if I clicked on Google Training, you'll see all of the keeps that I have with the Google Training tab attached to it. So it's a really nice way to just kind of bring your eye to specific things that you've had tagged and keep yourself organized this way. Okay. Last piece in the actual Keep app is up here. You can refresh your keeps, or you can look at it in different views. So this is also very similar to the way you look at your Drive. It's right now in app view. And if I click it, this will be list view. So it'll give you more of a stream feel. Okay, but I'll toggle back to grid view. And this is how I like to view it. Again, it's just personal preference. Last thing I'm going to talk about is how this integrates with Google Docs. So I'm just going to quickly head on over to my Drive. Okay, head on over to my Drive, and I'm going to pull up my reflection document. There's my reflection template. Pull it up. Okay. So this is my daily reflection journal that I want to open. Okay. Some of you may have noticed this, some of you may have not, but when you're in many of your apps, over here on the right-hand side, you'll notice that we have calendar lives here, keep lives here, and so does tasks. So I'm able to, again, really have that seamless integration of my docs along with calendar and Keep. But for right now, we're just going to look at Keep and how it works with Docs. So I have this document, which is for my students to do. It's a daily reflection template. If I click on Keep, we're going to see a very simplistic version of the Keep app. So what I'm able to do is I'm able to take a note based on whatever this document is. So for example, if I click take note, I'm going to write daily reflection here. And what I might do is I might just jot down some of the things that I want to add into my doc for later on. Be sure to add success, add in struggle with math. Don't forget the video. Okay. So what's happening, you'll see right here, this document, Daily Reflection Journal, is actually attached to this note that I am taking. So I could be working here and I think, right, I need to get back to this later. And this is going to be attached to it. Okay. So I could also, right here, I can open and Keep right away, and I could also pin the note. So again, talking about pinning the note, making sure we don't lose it, we might want to pin it if we're going to be working on it. So now what I'll do is I'm going to show you when I click on Open and Keep. This is what I see. So this document is directly attached to the Keep that I just created. And again, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do show checkboxes. Okay. And I will click close. And here it is. So I have that nice back and forth where I can come on over to Keep, click on this, and it will open up that document that I was just working within. Another thing that you can do in terms of Keep and Docs is that in the same breath, I am able to, let me open up my Keep again. Computer's running a little bit with a lag, so I apologize. Okay, so if I open up Keep again and I go back over to that same thing that I was just working on, this one right here, if I jotted down, let's say ideas, things that I wanted to put into my document, what I can do is these three dots right here, I could put add to document. So if I jotted some notes down here that I wanted to transfer over, I would simply click on this, and then you'll see these were the items right here that were added from my Keep on this side onto my document. Again, just another way to sort of take notes, to kind of jot down ideas, and be able to keep things nice and organized if we're trying to stay on task. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for right now because that is pretty much it for us. That's it for the session and how everything works. If anybody have any questions, Amory, Jackie, that I can kind of go back to right now?
Yeah, there were a few questions, not many. One question was, in your calendar, can you filter to only see certain types of assignments?
Which calendar are you talking about? Regular calendar app?
Either one. Either one. If you go through your classroom, but I think the person was actually asking more about the calendar app because they manage a lot of different classes.
The only way you could filter is by coming on over to, I am not sharing my screen anymore, but when you were in, let me reshare my screen so I could talk and show at the same time. In terms of filtering, the only filtering you can do is when you're over here and filter through the calendars, not necessarily the specific assignments that are there. So I can filter, yeah.
So you can filter for specific calendars, but you cannot filter for specific assignments. Got it. Another question was, when you're creating an event in your Google Calendar app, can you add emojis?
I believe that you can. I mean, I haven't done it. If you're doing it on your phone, it's definitely easier because you have the emoji, your keyboard. I haven't done it on here. But I guess if you copy and pasted one in, it would probably work. But I would definitely say probably you'd have a better bet on the app on your phone.
Those were really the only questions, and it doesn't look like anybody else is typing any questions right now.
Okay. All right. So I just want to thank everybody. I really hope that that was helpful. You take something away from it, even if it's just one piece. Like I said, these are my favorite components of Google Apps and things that I kind of live on. If you have any questions in the future, please do not hesitate to connect with us. My information is on the agenda, and I really hope that you all stay safe. And we hope to see you soon. Take care, everyone.